Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. I'm here in the system of Hiora doing some missions. Recently I've been getting back a little bit into doing L4 missions in my classical L4 missioning system. L4 missions are probably not the most profitable activity you can do in the game, but they can be very profitable if you're doing them well, and especially if you do burner missions. And I like the feeling of doing burner missions because they felt a little bit more difficult than the classical L4 missions. So I decided to do some burner missions. Now I'm going to be focusing a bit on burners, and I'm going to be using this Nergal here that's able to do all types of burner missions. So we're going to go for the burner Enyo, I believe it was it? The burner Enyo? Because there are different types of burners that involve different ships you have to face. And I think this one is Enyo, exactly, okay. And I already have got the fit, I believe, because I saw this mission just before. I've got fits for every type of one, so I just type Enyo, and I've saved it here. So you can just fit active ship. So it seems like this is the fit that we've got, and it's a very simple mission. You just have to go and attack him, but he can hit hard. Well, that's what all burners do, they can hit hard, but I think it is pretty easy, and you get a lot of cash from doing this. I think it's like about 30 million in total. Depends a little bit on how you convert these LPs to loyalty points, but you get 13,000 loyalty points, which perhaps would add up to maybe, depending on how much you convert, maybe 15 million ISK, plus another 5 million. And I think the bounty on the ship also is worth quite a bit. Okay, maybe not 30 million, but maybe 25 million, something like that. But they can also drop very good loot, these burner bosses or burner frigates. They can drop actually good stuff. I made a video on this as well, where I did one of these, and I got, I think it was an Imperial Navy drone damage amplifier. One of those is worth a lot, like I think 90 million, something like that, like quite a lot. So you think of like that, just do one of these missions, and these missions don't take a whole lot of time as well. You get a ton of ISK, so it's really great. I want to see what are our standings, because I've been doing a lot of missions, because before, when I used to do alpha missions, I had the Paladin setup, where I just did every mission pretty much. It's so powerful, you can just do any mission in a very short amount of time. I want to see here, where is the standing? We've got interactions there and standings. So if we go into Galente, which is the faction we're doing missions for here, so that is always going to be good, but it's more important what this guy has. This is the guy who we're doing missions for, so he is well over 5.0, or not well over, but quite a bit over 5.0. And that doesn't matter though if this goes below 5.0. The most important thing is it doesn't go to -2, because then we won't be able to do missions from this guy. And if we also look at the scope, corporation standings, see where is the scope. Yeah, here as well. This is also very high, and that's good. Important that that and the mission agent standing doesn't go below -2, otherwise we'll not be able to do any more missions. Okay, here's our culprit here. So 5 million from the bounties, that's pretty good. So 25 million is more like what you would get if you don't get any rare loot drops. Let's get a bit closer. We can perhaps orbit this guy at 1000, and then Webify him as well to keep him slowly. Maybe we can orbit at 5000 as well, because then he'll be outside his blasters, since he's got blasters. Well, I think he's got blasters at least. That's what Enyo usually have. Yeah. So if we keep a little bit of range, should be alright. Does take a bit of damage, this guy. He has got a pretty low resist profile for us. Oh, he's doing a lot of damage. Let's deploy the drones. I think he did a wrecking shot or something like that. We're going to need to continue to overheat our guns maybe a little bit, just to get more spool up. Maybe don't want to do too much overheating, just in case. Maybe don't want to even overheat the armor repair, but we did take a big chunk of damage suddenly. You can see what that was due to. Activities, the utilities, it's the logs. I think he did land a wrecking shot or something, because that was really, yeah, I see that 400 wrecking shot. That's what caused that problem. So that's not normal to see. So it's good that we have drones here, because they act with some extra DPS. What is our DPS? Yes, 400. Pretty good. Ooh, he's getting some big hits. And he gets a lot of grazing shots. That's really good that we keep him at range because he's got blasters. See what he's got. I don't think these Navitas have anything of particular value. So you see that was pretty quick there, doing a burner, and it gives a pretty decent amount of loyalty points for what kind of time you have to spend. So not a whole lot of loot here. We can go back to the system of Aora and see if we can find another cool burner to do. Burner blitzing. Burner blitzing is what we're doing right here. We could also do very profitable missions as well, but we'll focus a bit on burners. Because when you get so good standings, then there are alpha missions you can do that are worth a lot, but I think burners are usually the ones that are worth the most, except for some select few missions such as the Dread Pirate Scarlet, that they're like very, very quick missions to do. I wonder how one would blitz missions as quick as possible in a Marauder. I think that you would probably... I don't think you would want to have hyperspatial velocity optimizers, but it's good to have hyperspatial velocity optimizers since they're rigs that will make your ship or battleship warp really fast. There's a lot of time saved by going from system to system on the way towards missions. But it just feels strange, in my opinion, to have hyperspatial velocity optimizers on the Marauders. I think a Paladin would be good because you're doing instantaneous damage, so you're going to be able to shoot stuff straight away. With the Golem, I think it's going to be a bit of a problem because you have to wait a bit of time for the missiles to hit. A Vargas is good because the missiles are so fast that it doesn't feel like they take a whole long time to hit. How long did it take when we went from Aora to Dozer, which is the system we're in now? So we're at 51. So it took us about 8 minutes. And let's see what kind of ISK we got here. It took us 8 minutes. 60 divided by 8 times 25. That's 187 million ISK an hour, if you think of it like that. If we were to like continuously do this. And that's a pretty decent amount of profit per hour. Every extra burner counts. And I think you can do it more efficiently as well if you have dedicated ships to each burner, because I have actually got some ships that are dedicated to more bigger burners, like these kind of teams and that kind of stuff. These are bases, I think. I've got a Vagabond, and I think just generally speaking, having specialized ships can help it be a bit more quick to do. New mission, complete mission. Exploited sensitivities, don't want to do this. This is not good because it's a faction mission as well. Vengeance, also not a good mission, takes a long time to do as well. Pirate invasion. Nah, this is not good. Anomic agent, Blood Raider. Okay, this one's very easy. What we do is we just go in Blood Raiders, fit active ship. We don't have a micro auxiliary power core. Why do we not have one of those? Maybe we need a power. Oh, I think I know what happened. We maybe put it in here. Because it could have been, I could have interpreted that as a basic module. I must have sold it because I've got a box here where I put all like basic loot like modules that I get from missions. Power core. Micro auxiliary power core. What is the one that this fit uses? Vigor compact micro auxiliary power core. Okay, got one that's a few jumps away. Can this use other ones? See if this can use Tech 1, but then we've got CPU issues, so it's only this one. Otherwise, the Navy one even doesn't work. Thacker works actually. It costs really a lot though. There's this one here. We could go there and fetch this real quick. Can buy that. It must have been that I used one of these filters and then I just moved too quick. Okay, we'll use the shuttle and get that. If it actually is able to be fit in the shuttle, because the shuttle has got a pretty 10 cubic meters. And micro auxiliary power core takes 5 cubic meters. Okay, then it's good. So we'll get back to burners when we fetch that power core. Okay, let's dock up the Citadel and grab the power core. Micro auxiliary power core. 11 million is pretty expensive for a basic compact module, but some basic, like you could say Tech 1 or meta / compact modules, they can be worth a lot because they're relatively common, but they're also not really common at the same time. They're probably dropped from NPCs. And then they're very useful. I think that's the main reason. If a module is very useful, then it will naturally not be as prevalent on the market. For example, I think also that depends a bit on the common. For example, I think a quad LIF MWD is pretty useful, but it's not maybe as useful as a compact module, such as that power core, which is essential in some fits. And I also think these are a lot more common. So that's, I think, is the discrepancy. Because, say, damage control, this is not so common in my experience when looting NPCs, and is really useful in a lot of ships. Like that 50 MN MWD is going to be only on cruisers, perhaps cheap cruisers, since it's a Tech 1 module, and is maybe sometimes going to be on a frigate, but very rare. But here, this can be on anything from frigates to capital ships to battleships. Anything can use this. And CPU, I think, is also a limiting factor in many cases in terms of fits. So I think that's why modules like this come into play. Also, the power core that we're using is able to be used on all frigates, and is also very, very useful because it gives an extreme boost to the power grid of frigates. So maybe it's only used for frigates, but I think it's uncommon, and then it's also or it's more uncommon than other meta modules or Tech 1 modules, and it's also very, very useful because it gives extreme bonuses. Okay, we're now back in Hiora. We've got that micro auxiliary power core, and we can do our mission. These shuttles are very handy. They're very cheap little vessels that enable you to warp very fast, because they've got pretty fast warp speed and also very fast align time, and much faster than corvettes, because corvettes are free, you can always get them in a station. But if they're selling shuttles, always try to opt in for a shuttle, because the price of shuttles are negligible. The only real factor, if you could use them if they're available, and they're really nice. The downside also is that they've got a very tiny cargo bay, so that's why I had to check before. Could I fit this one module into our shuttle here? Okay, so we'll go and grab our steroid Nergal and add this power core to it. We have to wait a bit on the session timer. Okay, there we go. Fit to the ship. Oh, it's not in there. We have to unload it. Okay, there it is. Now it's here. Fit. Great. Okay, now we'll undock and go to the system of Veles. Okay, let's go into this mission. So this is a pretty simple one as well, where you just go in there, use these double webs, and blast down the Blood Raider ship. It's got a pretty big tank, actually, this guy. He's got a really thick armor plates on him. One thing that I think is pretty cool is also when you're using these kinds of different fits, you can optimize the fit to be as cheap as possible, so that say you hypothetically are to get ganked, you can still have like a bit of a cheaper ship, because I had some Federation Navy Stasis Webifiers that are better than these webs here, but these Tech 2 ones work just as well. So I'm able to keep the cost of my ship a bit less than it otherwise would be. It's still pretty expensive. I mean, 500 million is kind of frigate. Oh, no. We've not activated our cap module here. We'll do like this. This is something you can do in these kind of situations, is that I think that we actually might... Okay, so if we remove this and we log out, then you should be able to avoid imminent death. And then you wait here about like 5 minutes, and then it should hopefully have despawned. Otherwise, our ship will go boom. The issue is that cap battery was essential in keeping our capacitor alive, because that guy newts a lot. So without it, there's nothing. It's hard to resist his extreme newting. Well, I logged back in here, and we can see, based on the login screen, that our ship was unfortunately killed in action. That's these small little mistakes, if you make them doing burner missions, can cost you your entire ship. It was a really basic one. I just didn't make sure that the cap battery was activated, because since I didn't have that power core before, that module enables me to fit a really big cap battery. So it was just sitting on my ship, but it wasn't active. And you can't in space just activate modules like that. You usually have to be in a station and have a very high amount of capacitor. So unfortunately, we lost Nergals. That's the first time I've ever actually lost one of these Nergals here. We'll see if we can salvage a bit of the ship by saving the wreck, perhaps. See if the wreck is here. The wreck perhaps could be here. If we save this, there we go. And we'll go back to Heora. The difficult thing is to be able to extract that and get out of there alive. We'd have to get a brand new Nergal to be able to do that. Basically nothing from this ship of value dropped apart from this small armor repair. That's really annoying there. I don't think I'll have enough time to be able to grab that before it despawns, because I'll have to go and grab a Nergal or a new ship that is able to do that, and that is very far away because Heora is a pretty distant system. And for that one module, don't think it's really worth my time. I could have done other sites to be able to unback that ISK. Oh, that's unfortunate, because this is actually a very easy mission to do, but when you forget that one module, it's going to make a big difference. Because look here, we see this is the fit, and without this cat battery, because what we were flying with was this, so you see 0.4 gigajoules per second, so a very unstable capacitor. It's, I mean, it's stable, but the thing is that guy newts hard, so we were not able to really get by and survive. I could have perhaps stayed there and fight, perhaps pulse my armor repair, but I still don't think I would have been able to do that. I could have perhaps with these dual webs been able to slow him down so much that I would be able to pull away. And these are all things I could have done, but I was thinking that maybe there was a way that you could log out and you could perhaps get all the NPC to stop aggroing you, and then when you log back in you can just quickly warp out, but it didn't seem like that worked out. Unfortunate, but I learned that need to check that outfit every time we undock for the burner. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you at least learned something new. Unfortunately, it ended in a tragic end, but that's the way it is sometimes when you make small mistakes here and there. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.